Hello there, this is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another podcast. The Importance of Brotherhood. And let me give a shout out to one of my supporters, Darren Gates, for asking me to address this issue. I'm going to tell you what, the very nature of man at his core is to have boundaries. And, on a personal level, that boundary extends about 3 feet out, to have territory. That's why some men, if you step on their toes or something, they ready to fight you. Now, some people might say, oh, that's a silly thing or something like that, but you violated his boundary, right? And, it's interesting with boundaries, and I've said this before. Men will have boundaries, but women by nature don't respect them. Women by nature just go across boundaries without knowing. But that's the most important thing. That's the most important thing is a man have it. In fact, the more masculine he is, the more boundaries he's going to have. Now, he has that physical boundary, but also mental boundaries. And those boundaries are like what he won't put up with, where he's going to take a stand, right? Like you cross that boundary and the man is ready to go. He's ready to fight. He's like, nah, I ain't putting up with that shit, right? Now, how does this tie into brotherhood? When men join together, that creates a bigger boundary in us versus them. That's how men throughout history have really operated. The history of the world is really a history of different groups of men who have joined together and created a boundary and made some stuff happen. I mean, it's full of it. Whether it's the samurai in Japan, the Ashanti men in Ghana, the Sioux, Mossad in Israel, the Nazis, the Jesuits. There's the Knights Templar. Men have joined together. Fraternities, men have joined together. They have joined their boundaries together to create a bigger boundary. That goes into the importance of brotherhood. It's hard for men to really rise just by themselves. Any man who says really he's doing it by himself in many cases is not really understanding the nature of brotherhood. Like, for example, a lot of people know me from my articles on the Black Juggernaut, the Negro Manosphere. That's a boundary right there. That's a group. You have a set of writers. You have, Alan Roger Curry, Donovan Sharp, Tony Maceo, and of course, brought all together by O'Shea Duke Jackson. In a way, that's a brotherhood. We might not have formally sat down, but that's a boundary, right? And look at what it's done as a boundary. That's how you build together. That's how men can build something great. You can't build. No man can be without an army. People who follow me know I follow, I'm a big fan of the fictional character Midnight from written by Sister Soldier. And I'm a big fan, right? One, because I relate to the character, but I remember in the latest book, the character got in some trouble and he said, the mistake he's made was that he didn't have an army. He was doing everything by himself. So he realized he needed to build an army. And that's the important thing. It's like anything. The Black Manosphere, that's a boundary in a way. You see ordinary boundaries like men get really introduced to the concept of boundaries when they play in sports, Little League or something. It's us against them. It's, everything on this side of the boundary, wearing our uniform, wearing our colors. That's good. Everybody else is bad. And not in bad in an evil way, but it's just us against them. But it builds teamwork. It builds trust, right? And you get something accomplished. In sports, is winning the championship. That's a boundary. We could be going to a certain university or something. It could be in a fraternity. Those are boundaries. That's why, I was just saw something on Facebook from this dude that was he was a big brother to me in college, and we had a certain boundary. When I was at St. Joseph's University, we had a group called the Black Awareness Society. That was a boundary. I mean, these, even though there's some women in there, but just with the brothers side, we had a boundary. We had a group. We had a brotherhood, right? People who follow, who are on my Connect Pal site. What do I call it? The Raw Brotherhood, right? You create something. You build, and that's it. That's important. Every dude, I don't care who you are, you need that. You need that. Even if it's just something as simple as the men in your own family. Even if it's just that simple, it don't have to be big, but it has to be a sense of it's more than just you. Because nobody builds it, right? And see, that's how you get things done. Like I said, one of the things we get a lot of stuff about black men not building or something like that. Well, the people in the brotherhoods, that's what they've done actually. But that's what it's built by. When people say, any man, I don't care how tough he is, he can't really stand alone. He got to have something. Now, even if he can be like a solo practitioner or whatever, shoot, he can be a hitman, working alone and stuff. But there's still like maybe other hitmen that he need to be around, because it's it's just a feeling, and it's like really men are built that way. I mean, it's developed that way. The rites of passage that many indigenous societies had. Part of it was to teach the boy how to be an adult, but a lot of it was just to initiate him into a boundary, right? And really, when you see men's groups or groups of men who allow their boundaries to be violated, that's when you have trouble. When they allow people to come in and just do whatever, that's when one group of men gets subjugated by another group of men. And history has showed it. History has showed that on so many different levels, right? So it's a very important thing. The fellas out here, right? I would say look, at least find a crew of dudes that you can trust. And with the internet now, you can reach out. I mean, we've seen a lot of that just online, really, with the Manosphere. You see it. I can see boundaries with different YouTube content creators, because one thing I've seen, and I've said this publicly, I'm somebody who studied subcultures and stuff like that, and really looked at it. After a while, you can see certain things, like every YouTube content creator, for example. There are certain boundaries there. Even though some people, there's a lot of people who follow several different people, there's always that main person they follow, and it's always a certain personality or something, a certain group. Because I've noticed this on several pages. Sometimes you get a troll that comes in, and the content creator doesn't even have to deal with them really. The followers, the subs will deal with them. And it's and the brotherhood's like a community. A community, that's important. Human beings are social creatures. Yeah, you get some people who try to be a part or whatever, but really, for the most part, we're social creatures. Because even the people who are a part, I trust and believe there's always something they want to be a part of, even if it's a very tiny one, right? So, yeah, the importance of brotherhood. Like anybody out there, find like-minded people. Just find it. It does something to a man, especially if he's just insulated. I've seen it. There's a lot of insulated brothers out there. A lot of them. Not even just brothers, just men, period. And I've never failed to see it do something to them. Something negative. So, anyway, that's the importance of brotherhood. Just to remind everybody, I won't be posting starting from the 28th through July 3rd. I think about a week. So you won't see anything new from me on any of my channels until July 4th. Right? I should let that day go too, but you know. Brother gotta feed his pimps, my young sons. So, well, not young, they teenagers. One already taller than me, the other one catching. He hitting that growth spurt, y'all. Anyway, right. That's it for today. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.